one of the teachers of ceramics at Art House 7, and today we're going to learn how to center. First thing we do is you make your clay into a nice little snowball, and make sure you got it nice and rounded on one end, and then on that rounded end, you're going to drop it down into the center, as close to the center as you can get it. If I try to move it over, it's kind of stuck to the wheel, but it's only very lightly stuck to the wheel at this point. Getting our hands nice and wet, and we're going to make the wheel spin at maximum speed. So it's a little counterintuitive that you would start the first process, the hardest part, centering, when the wheel is going as fast as it could possibly go, but this is a much better way of starting out. Starting out slow, it's not going to work. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to gently get acquainted with the clay. I'm just laying my hands over the clay, and I'm just getting the clay kind of wet. So that means that I've got a nice little silky coat of clay on my hands. The clay is covered with a nice silky coat of water, and that's going to allow me to put a little bit of pressure on this clay. If I were to push my clay in one direction, I could easily take it off center and fling it across the room. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that it stays stuck to the wheel and moves towards the center so we can get everything in a spiral. So what I'm going to do that is I'm going to make sure that I have some downward pressure and some lateral pressure. Making sure that my hands are nice and wet and so they slide through the clay. I'm applying some pressure downward on the wheel to get it kind of stuck. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the palm of my hand right here and this line of my arm. This line that is attached to the butt of my hand, the palm right here, should perfectly line up to this dead center of my clay. So this should be a continuous line that hits right in the center of my clay, because what I'm going to be doing is gradually pushing this edge of my ball towards the center. So I'm leaning against the pan to give myself extra support. If we have our chicken arms like this, they move around too easily. It's like trying to throw on the wheel with spaghetti arms. I'm going to keep our arms nice and locked in, and I'm going to be pushing towards the center. But I'm not going to let the ball of clay fly off, so I'm going to add a little pressure pointing down just to keep it on the wheel. So I'm pushing with my palm of my hand until my hands really don't get jiggled around very much. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to karate chop the top, because I want to smash and compress my clay until I get a nice round little disc like this. Okay? That's a part of wedging on the wheel. The next thing I can do is I can use my snow plow technique. What I'm going to want to do now is I'm going to want to make this whole diameter a little bit smaller so that I can work it up and down again, so I can get all of the air bubbles that might be in there. The next step is making sure that I support my clay. I'm going to support my little cone with one hand. I'm just gently laying one hand against the side so it doesn't go anywhere crazy. And with the other hand, I'm going to be pushing in this sort of direction. I'm going to go right through the axis of the wheel, right? So I'm pushing over and supporting. And as I push over, it gets sucked down into the center. And we end up with a nice shape like that. Those are my tips for centering your clay. This is Amy West for Art House 7. Thanks for watching.